Use speakers or good headphones for optimal auditory pleasure. Hi everyone, this is Christina, and tonight I am joined by the beautiful Shelly Wake. Shelly, how are you doing?
I'm great, Chrissy. Thanks for asking.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm here to talk to Shelly about a recent event that she has completed. It is called the Vulnerability Project. And Shelly, could you please tell us more about that and what
Sure.
inspired it?
Thank you. Well, I think it was a few years back that I met somebody that was actually doing the Vulnerability Challenge as a social media, a way to support people um, on social media in
Mhm.
particular. And I did a personal development course not too long ago that made it. It became pretty clear that I needed to do some work around vulnerability in particular. I was having a hard time sharing who I was, and what I really realized, I guess, is that anytime somebody would ask me a question, I would deflect. So I would answer it quickly and then come back to you, right? And so I realized that nobody's actually getting to know who I am because I'm not letting anybody in. So I thought a good way to do that would be to try this vulnerability project. So when I first started it, I was really unsure of how to get started, and I had a group of supportive women who supported me to get rolling with it. And what I found is that I really needed some structure. And so that's when I decided to look into this vulnerability challenge that a friend of mine had done a few years back. And they gave me the goalposts, I guess, if you will, to get started. And then once I got started, it kind of just took legs of its own from there. Vulnerability basically means to me that I'm comfortable in my own skin, so much so that I allow other people to see me for who I am. Yeah.
And during the project, did you notice that your definition of it was changing?
Yes. Initially, I really wasn't sure what I was getting myself into,
Mm-hmm.
and as I delved deeper into the process, it it really did become more clear. I am going to actually mention that I read a book called Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, and some of that book really helped guide me on my journey. What it allowed me to understand is that I'm considering myself a closet perfectionist,
Ah.
wherein yeah, there's just so many things that had to be just so, and I wasn't really living at all. And the other really big piece from that book was around not hustling for my self worth. So that's that people pleaser piece. So for those who might be watching this, if you find yourself to be a people pleaser, in all likelihood, um, this book is good for you.
What is the support that you've received from having this book during this time?
Yeah, great question. So I think what it really helped me do was give me something to talk about, because originally I had absolutely no idea. I didn't know what to share. I didn't really even understand what was going to be vulnerable enough to share. And and to that point too, I was a bit frightened, to be honest, of I might share. And so when I created this vulnerability project, I included a group of women in the group that I felt would support me while not judging, and that's what I got for sure, which was amazing. But I know that there are lots of people that I would have liked to have invited to the group but I was worried about having to censor myself, and I didn't know what was going to come out. So in the end, I think it would have been absolutely fine to have others join. And so moving forward, I'm going to do it a little bit differently and probably invite a lot more people. One thing that Brene says in the book is that not everybody is entitled to hear your story. And so from that, too, I thought, well, maybe, I'll pick and choose who I think do deserve to hear my story. And I went from there.
Amazing. And what are the main takeaways for you from being in this project?
Mm. One big one is around self-compassion. So something that I learned in from the book was really that if if I'm unable to have self-compassion for myself, then I'll be unable to actually have it for others. Where I always thought that I was a very compassionate person, and in a lot of ways that's true. There was also some pieces of me that I don't have self compassion for, and
Mhm.
recognizing immediately that, oh, isn't that interesting how I don't have compassion for people that have this same, I don't know, mirror image, I guess.
Yes. And I believe, thank you so much for sharing that. That speaks again to perfectionism. It's this specific expectation or appearance or showing up of how you want something, or at least how your brain says it should show up this way, but really it's a bigger definition. And so I like hearing you acknowledge that you were already compassionate. It's just there were aspects of you that you felt would be more expanded by doing this exercise. And I believe,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, do you feel more compassionate now towards others, not just yourself, from having completed the project?
I think I always thought I was compassionate to others and recognized that I wasn't to myself. And I can certainly say that it became more obvious during the project, and I'm feeling like I have a whole lot more self compassion for me now. And so because of that, absolutely, I'm even more compassionate outwards.
And why do you think it is important to have that compassion both for you and for others?
Hmm. Well, there's enough awful stuff happening in the world, and I think we can all use a little bit more kindness and generosity of spirit, and gratitude. So I truly believe that the self compassion piece helps deliver that.
Oh, Shelly, I love that. And may I reflect to you what I heard? I heard you basically say you're choosing compassion and kindness because you can, not because you're obligated to, but because you can. And I believe it is a choice.
Absolutely.
So, could I inquire about what's going on now that you've completed the project? Is there a next step, or is there an evolution to the vulnerability project?
Well, that's a great question too. I did have a kind of, so one of the things that you may not know is that I never actually rewatched any of my videos. I just immediately posted it up online, and so I had to go back and actually watch them all to make sure that I'd learned the lessons that I was hoping to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was fun for me. So that was my next stage was, okay, so so I plan, I did, so now I wanted to do some evaluation and then I move forward from there. So what I decided is that one of the biggest pieces that I got out of it was the consistency of just doing the project daily. So I'm utilizing that same methodology to do an accountability project. Accountability for me means taking ownership. And one of the things that I sometimes lack, in particular in some areas of my life, for instance, fitness, is accountability. So I can easily fall off the rails or the track, if you will, when it comes to working out or exercising or taking care of my body. So I thought, well, if I use this project as an accountability project, I can actually upload anything there that I want to remain accountable to. And I have this beautiful group of women that will continue to support me if they'd like. And if not, that's okay too. But I will have some people in there that I know will check in and see what I'm up to. So, one, it will keep me accountable to what I say I'm going to do, which is the best way to elevate my life. And two, while I'm doing this, I'm still remaining vulnerable in that space. I'm continuing to practice being vulnerable, which keeps me in imperfection rather than perfection, because I'm just me instead of giving you some sort of doily image.
That is so great. Actually, I was about to say, yeah, do you realize it is still a vulnerability project, but now it's more accountability. And so now there's action in front of the camera every day to speak about issues that you are frightened, worried, or anxious about and just address it. Mm-hmm. And then now here you are, new year, new learning, new intentions, same group. Is that group also going to take accountability for the work? Are you inviting them to do the work? Is it more, how does it work exactly?
Great question. So the project is specifically for me to basically brain dump whatever I need to be accountable for, and I've also invited and welcomed those that are in the group to use it as their accountability space as well, as should they choose. A little bit different because not everybody in that group knows each other, so it might actually make it easier for some, and it might make it more difficult for some. So I'm not quite sure where it'll go. We'll just have to wait and see. One of the things too that I loved about the vulnerability challenge was the number of people that reached out with help, with support when they thought that I needed it, as well as those that just had their own story that they wanted to share, and they would share those privately with me. And I realized, like, I know I was doing it to help me just kind of shift some mindset. Mm-hmm. But in that process, I actually inspired others to do very similar things. Maybe not the challenge itself, but they've definitely started to reach out, and they're starting to own their own story. And a couple people have picked up the book, and so I'm inspiring others to up level in their own way.
Fantastic. And so, looking back, and you did this during a time where there's a global pandemic. A lot of things were going on, both collectively and personally. Is this something you would do again if given the opportunity?
Yeah, I think, well, I kind of am going to be continuing it on, but absolutely, I would do it again. I think I'm one of the lucky ones. I, you know, of course, the pandemic has affected everyone, including myself, and yet um, I I haven't really struggled. Knock on wood. I'm working through the pandemic, and my family is safe and healthy, and so I have so many things to be grateful for.
Grounding methods include breathwork, body scan, guided meditations, energy healing, sound baths. I offer one-on-one and small group coaching, masterminds, in-person, and live stream events. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your likes, shares, and comments.